All right, everyone, good afternoon. It is Sunday, and we are here for the Reversing Retrograde Masterclass. We're doing this live on June 13th, 2021, and everyone is going to get, access to this free replay. And I'm going to put it on YouTube, so if you happen to be checking this out on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Okay, so reversing retrograde is about how to deal with Mercury retrograde. We are actually in the middle of Mercury retrograde right now. This current Mercury retrograde period started May 29th and goes through June 22nd, 2021. So if you are seeing this at a different time, later on, you're still going to be able to figure out how to make retrogrades work in your favor. But just for reference sake, today's date is June 13th, 2021. Now, if you are new, I am Aunt Carla. I am a practicing elder witch with over 30 years experience. I'm 53 years old. I teach magic to help you help yourself. So that means like self-care, being self-aware, transforming yourself, learning how to connect with your higher self. I'm all about learning how to live your best life using magic. I'm like Oprah, like that. And I believe in transformation and using magic for that purpose. And I've for the last year, I've taught over 20 magical masterclasses. Wow, can't even believe it myself. I am your favorite spiritual cheerleader, at least I hope I am. That is my goal, because I believe that you can create the life that you desire, or at least do the best that you can. And magic is a fantastic tool for creating the life that you desire. And I'm now offering these witchy tea sessions, which are one-on-one magical mentorship lessons on Zoom. So if you wanted to do something like this with me, but just one-on-one without slides, and we could just talk about how to develop your magical practice, then that's, we can totally do that. So that's a new thing. And I am now Red Soulflower on Instagram. I used to be Marie Lazo. Now I'm Red Soulflower. I've made some changes. So if you're looking for me and you didn't know where to find me, I'm Red Soulflower. And, here we go. And today's class is sponsored by Witchy Tea Sessions. As I mentioned, they're one-on-one witchy mentorships via Zoom. So it's like, having some tea with me and have a little chat, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. And I'll talk about that more at the very end. But if you want to get more information, I have a website now ready, like a little landing page at redsoulflower.com/tea. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Platypus says I have a kick-arse garden. I'm trying really hard. All right. So we will begin with, what is Mercury retrograde? So this symbol here at the far left is a symbol for Mercury, the planet Mercury. And this little R with the cross, that is retrograde. So when we think about planetary retrogrades, a retrograde is an optical illusion. It appears to be an optical illusion when a particular planet appears to be moving backwards from our view here on Earth. So if you're looking in a telescope, it looks like the planet Mercury at this moment appears to be moving backwards, or not really moving at all. It is doing something, but to our eye, it looks like it's moving backwards. So the planet Mercury rules communication and technology and other things. So a Mercury retrograde period is believed to affect gadgets and our relationship with others. And Mercury retrograde happens about 3 or 4 times a year, and it lasts about 3 weeks. Some people notice a shadow period 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. So depending on, I feel like a few years ago, we didn't really hear about this, but thanks to the internet, an idea catches on, and all of a sudden everyone's talking about a shadow period. So many people believe that a shadow period is the 2 weeks before, feeling like they get that feeling that they're starting to feel some of the effects of Mercury retrograde before it actually goes retrograde, 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. Personally, I try not to get too caught up in the shadow period. Some people call it retro shade period. I don't know. I feel like I got stuff to do and I can't get too focused on or too caught up in all these different Mercury retrograde periods. I read something earlier today that said if you count up all of the time that Mercury is retrograde, it's retrograde 18% of the year, which is a lot. So I think Mercury retrograde has its place, but I don't want people to get too caught up in a lot of the different things that they hear online, unless they feel it applies to them, because you might say, oh my goodness, those shadow periods, they really affect me. And then someone else might be like, I don't know. So trust your judgment, use your best judgment, use critical thinking, listen to your intuition, really dig into what is meaningful to you and not just what other people are saying. So this was my favorite meme that I saw, and I had to recreate it on my feed because it just, oh, what can I say? Okay, so we see here, this is J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, and Ben Affleck. Now, if you know anything about this couple, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck they dated years ago. They were even engaged. They were engaged for a while, and then they broke up and they never got married. Now, if you follow the celebrity lifestyles at all, which I don't necessarily, but I really do like J-Lo. And J-Lo had been dating Alex Rodriguez, also known as A-Rod. He is a former, I guess, retired baseball player. She just broke up with him. Well, they just broke up, but they broke up and then they got back together and then they broke up for good. And they had the what do you call those things? The press release and all this stuff. But days later, after the breakup between J-Lo and Alex Rodriguez was announced, this picture showed up out of nowhere. And now we see that, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting back together. And one of the things about Mercury retrograde is that people often get back. They hear from their exes, or they're thinking about their exes, they're calling their exes. So when I realized that this like they're getting back together around Mercury retrograde, like the fact that happened, I found that totally hilarious. But the thing I mentioned, I said that J-Lo is a Leo. So if you do follow celebrity culture at all, the thing that I think it's so important to remember, J-Lo is a Leo, and she is very, very mindful of her public image. And she makes sure that stories get out. It's not an accident that we're seeing this picture. I mean, if they're really trying to, be quiet about things, we wouldn't be seeing them on a freaking balcony. When Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie got together, finally, they went all the way to Africa where there wasn't that much paparazzi. But what do J-Lo and Ben Affleck do? They go somewhere on and hang out in a balcony for everyone to see. And I would also bet my bottom dollar, my last dollar in my wallet or purse, that J-Lo made sure that she had her own photographer there to get this picture so that it could be submitted to all kinds of media outlets. And that's also because J-Lo knows she wants to control the narrative. The idea was that Alex had an affair with someone else, some lesser known reality show person. And J-Lo is not really interested in being seen as that person who was hurt or someone had did her wrong. What is she going to do? She's like, oh no, I want people to know that I am still hot. I'm still amazing. Ben Affleck still loves me. And here we are. So I can't say how long this is going to last. Maybe they could, I don't know. I'm not a psychic, but I just love this whole story about things coming back. So I want you all to answer this question since I've gone, and I've had my little soapbox here. For you, we have been in Mercury retrograde since May 29th. I would like you to tell me in the chat, how has your Mercury retrograde gone so far? Platypus says my exes are either dead or in jail. So my current relationship is safe and I adore my partner. Yay, that's great. Oh my gosh, Maria says horrible. Let me tell you, like, why are you telling me? I mean, why you all are telling me miscommunication, reflective inner. I just went out with my ex last night. Something major breaks in my new home almost every day, but I know there's a reason for it in the end. Sorry about that, Ardent. Shaida says my ex is back, reflecting. Evan, reliving the passing of my twin flame last year. It's been intentional, says Veronica, reflective. Oh, wow. Sleepy and lazy, self-care and self-work. Oh, okay. Platypus, my retrograde period has been amazing. Got some news last week. We'll be able to move back to the Pacific Northwest and a new lease on life. Oh, that's so wonderful. I know you wanted to get like near water. Karen P says the added solar eclipse didn't help. Terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Lauren says 39 people in the city and I found the schizophrenic roommate with no boundaries to live with. Oh my God, that's awful. Katrina, got hurt right before, lots of healing, lots of homemaking in my new place, being grateful and manifesting, keeping the door closed while I hermit out and focus on the career dreams at my fingertips. Yes, yes, yes. The struggle is real. Lots of dreams about old exes and old friends, reflecting and emotional. My energy is so off. Stuff is falling apart around the house. No issues with my relationship. Have had lots of issues with shipments. Some customers are very stressed. Now, see, I'm glad you guys are chiming in because when I posted this meme on my account, a lot of people, and I figured like if no one responded, I was going to read some of these. But here's one like. Drove on the wrong side of the road, didn't stop when the other car had the right of way. My son held on for dear life. I got a text from every ex. Let's see what are some of these. I smashed my laptop up. I make lots of spelling mistakes. Oh, here's one. I went to take the dog out at 3 a.m. and there was a completely naked woman beating up a clothed woman in the street and a half naked man trying to break it up. I just don't even know. All right. So Platypus said it wasn't me. So you get the idea. So if you are really new to Mercury retrograde or you hear about it all the time and this is kind of something you're not really you're not necessarily well versed on. We're going to talk about what this is about and why the people who know it's Mercury retrograde and why they are going through these different things. We're going to talk about what often happens and how it affects us differently. Not everyone gets affected the same way. Some of us, we like to prepare ahead of time. Some of us might have one kind of problem, but not another. Or some of us we just get into our hermit mode and we just kind of stay in our shell until things go direct. And if you have that kind of if you have the ability to do that, some people like to enjoy that. So it's totally up to you. So, but one thing I want to say, there is so much drama in the media. So there's this. Did anyone know the story of Chicken Little, like something, it was like this story of this little chicken and something hit it on its head and then the chicken was like, the sky is falling, and was telling everybody the sky was falling, but the sky wasn't really falling. It's just like this little thing hit them on the head. And I feel that happens a lot with Mercury retrograde. Some people are like, oh my God, Mercury retrograde, it's the worst thing ever. And I'm like, come on, take it down 1,000. Breathe. But I went researching, I did some Google searches on Mercury retrograde and look at these. These are like 4 different articles. Brace yourself for the worst Mercury retrograde of 2021. Or Mercury Retrograde 2021 horoscope. Why? This is the worst Mercury Retrograde ever. Or another one. Is this the worst Mercury Retrograde of 2021? Or Mercury Retrograde Spring 2021 will be the worst for 4 zodiac signs according to their horoscope. Now, this is what I mean. There's so much negativity when it comes to Mercury Retrograde that people freak out without knowing why they're freaking out. That's similar to saying that 13, the number 13 is an unlucky number without understanding why people have that idea. Like, where did that come from? So what I want to do today is talk about how we can find out how you can actually use Mercury retrograde to your benefit. Yes, Platypus says they got to get the clicks. Exactly. No one's looking for, oh, how to have a nice day on Mercury retrograde. No, people are looking for, well, they're looking for the worst. Got to get the clicks. It's clickbait. So I just want you to think about it. Like think critically and don't believe everything you see on the internet. Now, I'm 53 years old, as I like to tell people. And back in the day, if you went to the doctor before before computers, before really the internet, if you had to get a prescription, a doctor would have a little pad like this. See, like there's an R and an X. And this RX actually means prescription. So this symbol was commonly seen on doctors' prescription pads and signs in pharmacies. You might go to a pharmacy now and still see the symbol and not necessarily know what that means, but it's basically a symbol for medical transcription. And according to most sources, the RX symbol is derived from the word recipe, meaning to take. So I want to offer some prescriptions for this retrograde period for everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what your sign is. And I was doing some other research, and this RX symbol is also, some other sources say that it's related to the Egyptian symbol, the Eye of Horus, like that eye symbol, and it kind of looks like an R. And I believe that was also related to healing. So I don't know, but that the whole idea though is that this symbol does not necessarily, when you see a retrograde symbol, a retrograde symbol isn't just about retrograde. It's also a prescription. It's about, hey, there's something going on, pay attention. Now, I know I say a lot of things about Christianity, and here I am going to quote the Bible. And there's a line in the Bible, there's like a whole chapter, Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And it's a longer piece. And if you want to go look it up, you can, but it's like, there's a time to live, there's a time to die, there's a time to love, and there's a time to abstain, and all of this other stuff. And all this is about is we as spiritual people or witches, whatever, we believe in cycles. There are cycles everywhere. The day is a 24-hour cycle. There's morning, there's noon, there's night. No matter what part of the world you're in, no matter what time zone you're in, there is still going to be that cycle. There's also the cycle of the seasons, fall, summer, spring, winter. There are cycles for everything. And when it's summertime, when it's summertime here, it's winter somewhere else. But when it is winter here, you're going to be doing certain activities that you won't be doing in summer. So this is just, so when we go into these different prescriptions for the retrograde period, I just want you to remember that these things are here for a reason. They're not Mercury retrograde periods. They're not here to make you afraid or make you feel like that the sky is falling. I want to give you another way to think about these periods. So yes, Platypus, to every the song Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds. Yes, that's where those lyrics are based on this Bible passage. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. Yeah, so if anyone is interested, you can check out that song, Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds, spelled with a Y. Yes, Amanda. Yes, so take time and for every purpose. So Mercury retrograde has a purpose, and its purpose is usually to do the things that have the prefix re, like meaning back and again. This is when you're going to be reviewing things, revising, revisit. So that's why I have review, revise, revisit. Mercury retrograde is a time for reviewing things, revising things, and revisiting things. So I have a few other words here that I have that have the prefix re. So return, your someone might return to your life, or you might hear from your ex, you might hear from old friends, you might hear from an old boss. They return to your life. Rewind, you might want to say you're working on something, and instead of launching something new, you might want to go, you might want to rewind and review. Remix, instead of doing something brand new, how about remixing some ideas, some older ideas, and creating something new that way? Replay, do something over. Reappear, we talked about that with people coming back into our life. Reassess, which is similar to review and revise. Reread before you send out that report or submit that manuscript that you want to publish. Reread your manuscript, reread your emails before you send them out, reread before you hit that send button. Make sure that you are not hitting reply all, if it's really supposed to be a private conversation. Rebuild, this could be a relationship, this could be a project. Rearrange, you might just need to, instead of getting something new, just rearranging your furniture, rearranging the way you think about something, and just redo. So you might think about redoing something. So this is a good time for reviewing. And that's really the main thing that I want to get across. These Mercury retrograde periods are good for reviewing, revisiting, and revising. Now, the basics of Mercury retrograde include being mindful when buying electronics, going on first dates, connecting with ex-lovers, communicating with others, signing contracts, and starting new projects. There's probably other ones, but these are just the basics. And for example, if you buy electronics, some people have issues with things breaking, even if they buy something brand new. I think it was Arden was saying that, like, she just has her new place and all these things are breaking like almost every day, like, going on first dates. That's when you might, if you can hold off for those 3 weeks. So as I said, Mercury rules communications, relationships, or relating to others, and electronics. So this is the time when you want to be very careful. If you go on a first date with someone, you might feel a certain way now, but you might change your mind. And that's the same thing with connecting with ex-lovers. You might get that, what are you doing text and reconnect with an ex, and then you realize, oh wait, what was I thinking? This person is still not good for me, and you may end up changing your mind. And the opposite of that can also be true, that if you break up with someone during this time, it's also very possible that you will get back together once things go direct. So it's an idea that the communications that you have are not the final say. You might say something, you might be really sure that you mean this right now, but other things might come to light after Mercury goes direct again, and you'll say, maybe I was a little hasty. Now, I can speak for myself. Back in the day, before like internet dating was what it is now, before there was social media, before there were apps, I used to meet people on Craigslist. I tell you, I'm really dating myself. And I actually was really successful. I met a lot of people on Craigslist, if I must say so myself. Anyway, but there was this one period before I really understood what Mercury retrograde was all about. There was this 3-week period. I went out with 2 guys that I really liked, and they both ended up going back to their ex-girlfriends. That was like a really bad Mercury retrograde period. That was a few years ago, because it was 2 guys that I really liked. So it was like, I must have done it like right at the very beginning. I met this guy and I was like, oh, this guy is really cool. And then, oh, he wanted to get back with his ex. And then I met another guy during that period. And then he went back to his ex. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? Well, now I get it. There's Mercury was retrograde. So it's just something to think about. Communicating with others. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of, when you're communicating with others, there is a high chance of miscommunications, misunderstandings, texts not being received, appointments being missed because you thought it was supposed to be this time and this person thought it was this other time, or like, okay, it's going to be this time, but this place. And then a lot of miscommunications, missed connections. So that's something to think about. So make sure that you double check. Then things are like signing contracts. Some people don't like to sign contracts during this period if they can help it. And if you can't like escape it or you can't get around it, do your very best to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that everything is spelled out as well as you can. And the same thing with starting new projects. You might start a new project during this time and it might end up getting scrapped, or it won't happen the way you like. So the idea is that you want to have this energy from the planet Mercury. You want to have it working in your favor. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do I know when when Mercury retrograde is? Easy. You can find it in Google, like most things. You can ask the question, when is the next Mercury retrograde? And you can also ask the question, what sign is Mercury retrograde in? And that's going to be important in a second. And when is the Mercury retrograde shadow period? And as I said, that's optional because you may or may not feel that the shadow period affects you. But if you are curious, you can definitely look it up. So the current Mercury retrograde period that is May 29 through June 22nd, it's in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So every month, we have a different astrological season, from Aries, Capricorn, Pisces, whatever. But since Gemini is ruled by Mercury, many people believe that it's like having a double dose of Mercury retrograde, because if Mercury is, if Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Mercury retrograde is in Gemini, it may feel extra strong, or just a lot of things breaking, or a lot of people feeling like they're breaking up, or things like that. So that's also why there's all of this talk about, is this the worst Mercury retrograde because it's in Gemini? So you might be one of those people that don't usually feel it that much, but you might be feeling it this time. And if that's the case, it's probably because the fact that Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Gemini. Yepper is mindful. Oh, Mariah, I'm so sorry. So my ex and I were starting a friendship again. Then I found out through a mutual friend that he has a baby on the way. Oh boy. Yep. Rethinking for sure. That's heavy. That'll be nice if they would have mentioned that, right? But good thing you found out. Yeah, Rose says, I feel it all right. Now, let's see. So now, while each of you may feel things differently because of your own astrological sign, Mercury retrograde in Gemini may have sort of like some general things all around that you want to look out for. And those include slow down, because this is, we make mistakes when we're going too fast and not paying attention. Pay attention to details. Decisions that you make now are not necessarily the final answer. You might think that something is firm now, but people's minds have a likelihood to change. So decisions made now are not necessarily the final answer. Lots of gossip, lots of people talking about stuff. But this also means that you need to keep your secrets to yourself. That means watch what you're saying to others, it doesn't get back to you, or that people don't know that you're the one that said it, and make sure that you keep your own secrets quiet so that other people aren't sharing your secrets. So it's a very chatty sign. Gemini is an air sign. So it's about communication. It's about air and hot air even. And so there's going to be a lot of gossip. You're going to be hearing a lot of chitter chatter. So make sure that you're being mindful of the things that you are hearing as well as sharing. Back up your computer. As I said, I have my laptop here in case something were to happen during this during this video. Back up your computer. Make sure that I think a lot of things are auto save now, but if you are working in any kind of software that does not auto save, make sure that you are saving your documents. This is a great time for editing and revising. I've spoken to many of you actually who are working on books, and I think that's so exciting, that everyone's writing their books. So don't feel like, oh my God, I have to post, I have to launch it or submit it now. This is a great time to edit. Take that next chance, that next moment to edit it, or get someone else to edit it for you, and read things out loud so you can hear it for yourself. Make sure that your spelling is where it needs to be. This is also a great time for making amends with people, especially siblings. So Gemini is the sign of the twins. So sibling relationships are also factored into Gemini. So you might want to, if you have like any kind of issues with your siblings, this would be a good time to go back around, return to the issue, and apologize, or at least see if you can clear the air. Watch out for scammers. There's going to be a lot of things that sound too good to be true, and they are. So be mindful and use your best discernment. And also, folks may be hypercritical. This is going to be a time a lot of people will be very critical, or they'll be talking about things. You might even find yourself being hypercritical. So it might be you criticizing other people or someone else criticizing you. But remember, as I said, decisions that are made now are not necessarily the final answer. So take it, if you're on the receiving end of criticism, take it with a grain of salt, and also do your best not to take everything personally. This is with those miscommunications going on. A lot of misunderstandings happen. A lot of people have been talking about having fights with people and not getting along with people. This will pass, and do your best to diffuse any situations that seem to, don't let people escalate if you can, because it takes two people to have an argument. So do your best not to rise to their bait. Just kind of chill out, and definitely don't let things escalate to the point where like you want to break up with this person. Just count to 10, breathe, slow down. Yes, self-criticizing. Thank you, Platypus. That's definitely a good one. If you find yourself being hypercritical of yourself, how you look, you're worried, oh my God, I don't have a beach body, or look, chill out. This will pass. Oh, wow. Maria says, my daughter was scammed out of $2,000 and my husband is in a fight with his sister right now. Exactly. Hey, Eloy. Yeah. So these are just general things that everyone can keep keep an eye out for. Now, as I said, I'd like not to get too caught up in Mercury retrograde, but I always like to know when it is, because I know it's affecting other people, and I will plan for that. Because if I know that other people are going to be going through things, I might try to add time into things, or try to be prepared, or show up early, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, but I try to be mindful. So many people are going to be feeling something, but to the degree will depend on a lot of different factors, and we're going to talk about that as well. Oh, Evan says, oh crap, I just realized I've been having some poo-poo self-talk. Stop it now. We love you. Be good to yourself. Yay. Oh yes, thank you. Veronica mentions, she says, it's the perfect time to use Miguel Ruiz's 4 Agreements. Oh, this is a fantastic book. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. That is such a great book. If anyone is interested, it's like this, it's a small book, but it's really, really helpful at this time. Like, be impeccable with your word, be careful of what you're saying, and don't take anything personally. When people say things, even if it's hurtful, it has a lot more to do with them than you. So don't rise to the bait, and do your best to, let it wash off your back, or like move to another room. Don't make assumptions. This is a great time for making the wrong assumptions. You're thinking that you heard someone say this, but you didn't. And also do your best. And the other thing that I love about that book, when it says do your best today might not be the same as your best was yesterday, but it's okay. All you can do is do your best, and give yourself grace to be human. Okay, so who knows, does everyone know, and you don't have to, like most of us know our sun sign, like like I'm a Capricorn, you might be a Virgo or a Scorpio. Most people know their basic sun sign, and I'm going to be focusing mostly on that. But if you know your rising sign and your moon sign, there's also other things that you can look at when it comes to Mercury retrograde. So your sun sign, that's like the regular thing. Like when you get your birth date and someone says, oh, you're a Capricorn, oh, you're a Sagittarius, that's your sun sign. That is your individuality and your unique gifts. Now your rising sign, that is the placement of what constellation was rising above the horizon at your time of birth. And that rising sign, it represents your personality and how others see you. So if you're saying, wow, that person's a Capricorn and that person's a Capricorn, but they're nothing alike, it's probably because their rising sign is different. And there's also your moon sign. Your moon sign is that is relating to your emotions and your relationships. The moon sign is where the moon was, which sign the moon was in at your time of birth. So I'm going to give you a link so you can find this out if you want. But these are like the three biggest placements in your horoscope chart: your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign. Is there? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. If you know them now, it's fine, because remember, you're going to be able to play this back and figure that out. But if you have never had your birth chart done, you can get a free birth chart at astro-seek.com. You just need to enter your time and place of birth. Yeah, there you go. I knew people would be asking, because a lot of people do know their sun sign, their rising sign, and their moon sign. If you don't, it's okay. The whole birth chart, there's so many different things going on. And that's also why one Virgo will be different from another Virgo. And we often have all these different signs within our particular birth chart. So I think even if you were born a twin, your twin would still have a different horoscope chart. Arden says, some people don't believe in cusps, me included. The sign is where it is when you're born. Yeah, see, it's like, because I think if you know yourself or pay attention, you can kind of figure out where you are. So definitely look into that. If you don't know your time of place and birth, one of the things you can do is ask your mother. She might know. But I was reading somewhere, they said your mother might not know because she was too busy having you. They said that, so some people say only believe your mother if she wrote it down. But if you can find a birth certificate, and it would be the long form, because you can get a short form that won't give you all the information. It'll just have like the date and the place. But if you're looking for your time of birth, you can contact the Department of Vital Statistics where you were born and request a long form birth certificate. Now, if you are adopted or you have other issues that make it impossible to get your birth certificate, you can also work with an astrologer, or maybe it's an astrologist. I've seen both names, and they can do what they call a star chart rectification. They will ask you different questions and they will be able to pinpoint what your birth information would be like. So if you can't find it the traditional way, there are other ways to go. Evan says, I do believe in the cusp. I have traits of both signs. Aha. Veronica says, my birth certificate has one time and my mom says another. She swears by her time, LOL, about a 5-minute difference. Wow. Okay, look at that. So astro-seek.com, you can go like right now and get your birth chart, but don't do that right now, but you could. Just saying, like, it's right there and you can see your birth chart and it's really quite fascinating. Okay, so before I go there, I want to talk about, I'm going to break down the different, so we're now in Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Now, before we even go to the nitty gritty, I want to talk about how Mercury retrograde affects the different elements. So each of us has a sun sign, and there are 4 different elements. There's air, fire, earth, water. And depending on what your zodiac sign is, you're going to fit into one of those. So I'm going to give more of a general reading on how Mercury retrograde in Gemini will affect your life. So we'll go back to, we're going to start with air signs. So if you are a Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, where are my Geminis, Libras, and Aquarius is my air signs? Libra here. All right. Amanda's raising Libra rising. Yes, yes. And also, if you know your rising sign, this also counts. So if you are Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius in your sun sign, or your rising sign, and even your moon sign, pay attention. Now, this is how it's going to, Mercury retrograde in an air sign will affect you. You may find yourself losing items, missing appointments, and having missing communications with others. So this is something to think about. You can also, what's good to use this time to listen as much as you talk. Air signs are great communicators. They are very great, they're good on their feet and they can chat and all kinds of things. But use this time, if you're an air sign, to listen as much as you speak. Double check those details with others and focus on what you're doing. You know, sometimes we're like, I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. Focus. Take that time to focus on what you're doing. Pay attention. Catch up on old emails, catch up on old correspondence. That is what you want to do if you are an air sign. This is a great time for that. And for on the spiritual side of things, this is a great time for journal scripting magic. I talk about that in my spellcraft class. It's also a good time for yoga and movement. It's also good for breath work. So if you are an air sign, Mercury in retrograde is a great time for you to dig into the strength of your sign. Okay. Next up, Mercury retrograde in water signs. Where are my Cancer, Scorpios, and Pisces? That could be your sun sign, your rising sign, or your moon sign. Where are my water signs? Evan, yes, Pisces, Cancer, Sun, Scorpio, Moon. Wow, Camille. Woo! Wow, Maria. Wait, it's a Scorpio, Cancer, Moon, Scorpio, rising Scorpio here. Okay, so you got the water going. So you may find yourself revisiting old emotions. So you might find yourself crying and venting and angry, like all these emotions coming out, but for old things. Like you might just remember something that someone said and you're just like, oh my God, or, oh, it's okay. This is something to expect. So you also want to use this time to slow down and pay attention to your emotions. Give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling and why you're feeling. Like, what's going on with you? What did someone say? What's going on with you that is still affecting you? Someone said this thing to you 6 months ago, last week, last year, but it's still bugging you. This is a good time. If you're still feeling that, whatever that is, it's a good time to pay attention to those feelings. And this is a great time for, on the spiritual side of things, great time for dream analysis. If you're like paying attention to your dreams, you have a dream journal, this is a great time for moon magic, water magic, if you are into water magic, meditation, and listening to your intuition. Now, as far as moon magic is concerned, we are also, we're in eclipse season, but a lot of people don't like to do magic during an eclipse. And that's because eclipse magic is very chaotic, or can be very chaotic. Everyone is different. And my feeling is you have to know yourself, you have to know your strengths, your skills. And if you feel that magic is something you want to do during an eclipse season, you can, but I think it should be reserved for people who have an idea of what they're doing. Don't just do eclipse magic just because it sounds cool. But some people, they just want to try it and they can't help themselves. But the other thing is, when people are watching this particular video later, it might not be eclipse season. So moon magic is definitely something you might want to do during a different Mercury retrograde period. So dream analysis, moon magic, water magic, meditation, listening to your intuition. These are the strengths of a water sign. This is a great time to dig in for that. Oh, Platypus said, just started up with mugwort for dreams again. There you go. Oh, Karen says, I've been crying since the eclipse, like daily. Yeah, I hear you. Yep. Cancer baby, sun, moon, and Venus. Yep, I've been a big crybaby. Wow. See, all of these emotions are coming through. Karen says, I'm doing a month-long moon journaling exercise. So this aligns. Sweet. Fantastic. Camille said, I just had a wild dream last night and spent the morning analyzing it. Oh, Maria, that's great. Collected river water yesterday. All right. So that's working with that water power. All right. Where are my earth signs? Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. I am a Capricorn sun, Taurus moon. Who else is out there? Where are my earth signs? Shoshana present, Taurus. Yeah. Virgo, sun, Taurus, moon. All right, Verva. Oh, Arden says strong Capricorn moon. Wow, Karen, Taurus moon, Capricorn sun. Carlene, me. My husband is a double Virgo, Camille. Woo, Taurus moon. I love it, love it, love it. I think because I'm an earth sign, I feel that that's also why I feel like I'm very grounded. So I don't feel like I'm always too bothered by Mercury retrograde. But I will say that I definitely had some issues with some computer things this period. So, we all get it. But as an earth sign, I like to think of myself as grounded, but stuff happens. So for your my Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn fam, you may find yourself spending more money than you expected. Mind your budget. I can attest to that. Use this time to go back to the basics, get organized or reorganized, and revisit your old projects and your old goals. For my business folks, reconnect with old clients and old business leads. Are there things that it's probably a good time to go back and find out who owes you money. This is a good time. And I suppose it's always a good time, someone owes you money, or they're like invoices that you haven't collected on, whatever your sign is, but earth sign, is often very business related. Reconnect with old people, go follow up on those old invoices, follow up on those old debts, and, maybe even pay some too, if that's where you are. And yeah, Shoshana said, too late. I had to for new furniture. Yeah, but you have a really nice place now. So it is what it is. And I'm not saying that you can't spend it in the money, but just, if you have a choice, not everybody has a choice. So that just means pay attention, make sure that you get things in writing, and that the that everything is spelled out the way you need it. Jamelia just bought a swimming pool. Brown says, oh heck, let me check my accounts. My husband and I are going on vacation next week. Yes, definitely check that out. Shaida says, definitely spent too much and I felt called to reorganize my home. Very happy with the results. Yeah, I love to hear that. And as I said, great time for using crystal and herbal magic. I know I have my crystal here in my hand. You know, my crystal and natural nature herb garden green witches. There we go. I'm calling out everyone. This is a great time for that because again, these are your strengths. So go deep into your strength. Brown says, I've been pulled to use my crystals lately. And Samantha Brown says, put mirror on my altar and it helped. Yeah, some people are definitely doing mirror work at this time. Fantastic. I have another one. Where are my fire signs? Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, whether it's your sun sign, rising sign, or moon sign. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. I'm Sagittarius rising myself. Deanna. Hey, Deanna B. That's it. We don't have, come on. Okay, I knew I had more fiery people. Yes, Lauren, Bunny. Oh, wow. Deanna has Aries sun, Denise Aries, Evan is Sagittarius rising, Shaida Sagittarius rising. Yes, we've got some more Sagittarius risings in the house. Boop, boop. So as fiery people, you know, you want to like, you know, you're passionate and fiery and you want to move forward and do all these things. Well, when you're feeling Mercury retrograde, you may feel plagued by delays and false starts that work against your passion and creativity. You might be feeling that hurry up and wait feeling, like you're ready to do something, but there's a delay, or you stop and you start. That is going to happen it's just one of those things that you can expect. But you can use this time in the meantime to consider how you can be more creative and find new solutions. This is when it's a great time to think outside the box. There are things that you want to do, but perhaps there's these delays or false starts that are getting on your nerves. This is a time to get creative. Like, how can I get this? How can I use a workaround or create a workaround to get what I want? How can I do that? So the universe is basically asking you to get creative and come up with some new solutions. Shaidis has been waiting on my song mix and cover art. Delayed. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You've been trying to get this thing done, or maybe you're like, oh, I want to do I want to submit my book, my song mix, my CD, whatever kind of creative thing, or you know, it could be some other kind of project, but you feel that other people are delaying you, or you know, equipment isn't ready. Or, oh goodness, I remember I was talking to Shoshana yesterday. She'd mentioned ordering something, and then there was like a scratch on something she ordered, and then she had to get another one, and there was another scratch. Like that's very Mercury retrograde, in the sense that you're ready to go forward, but then there's something that makes you have to start over. So, you know, just be mindful and do your best to go with the flow. And this is a great time for your fire signs to use your candle magic rituals, you know, or maybe this is a great time to hang out with friends, you know, around a fire pit. So it's about fire and candles. If you are a fire sign, use that to your advantage. Use your fire magic. Oh, Evan, what is candle magic? Ooh, I love that question. Candle magic is when you're doing like a ritual, a spell. Because I don't know if you know that, like, you know, we're a witchy group in here. We're talking about Mercury retrograde, which applies to everyone. But I usually teach magical master classes. And candle magic is when you use a candle to represent your intention. So your intention could be for love or money or health. And you put your energy into this candle, and then you burn the candle. And that is how you set that ritual in motion. You can use a birthday candle. Think about this, birthday candle. That is one of the easiest candle magic that people do all over the world. They have a cake, they have a candle, and they're like, oh, make a wish, and you blow it out. That is candle magic in its most basic form. Many of us use like larger size candles, but you can still use a birthday candle if you don't have time or space or privacy. Some of these different spiritual courses that I'm talking about now, the spiritual, like candle magic. Let's see. I talk about journal scripting. I talk about herbal magic, crystal magic, candle magic. I will be offering, a discount for any of those if you're interested. But the whole idea is, if you're already in this group, you kind of know what these different rituals are, and whatever your element is, go deep into it, and that will help you manifest, whatever it is that you were trying to create. Oh, yes, Evan. Evan says, I write and speak things I wish to release on paper and burn. Is that similar? Yes, it is. Absolutely. You do a burn ritual during moon cycles. Fantastic. Yes. See, so you're already doing fire magic. See, look at that. Okay, fantastic. Okay, now we're going to get into the more math side of things, and but hopefully not too mathy, if that makes any sense. Now, you've probably seen, or you may have seen, like a zodiac chart. This is not that, but what this is a simple zodiac wheel. There are 12 signs that go from Aries to Pisces. And when I spoke earlier about cycles, well, there are astrological cycles. So we start with Aries, which represents like the baby, then spring, and it goes all the way through Pisces, which is like the end of the cycle, the old person. So and it doesn't start in January, Aries starts in spring, and it represents spring. So if we're looking at this in order of when these cycles occur, it goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So everyone here has a sign that's one of these signs. So this is just like the order that they appear. Now I'm going to talk about how to figure out how these different retrogrades will affect your sign in particular. Okay, so when you find out what sign that the retrograde is in, that's where you're going to start. As I mentioned before, this is going to be a replay on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Therefore, you might be seeing this at a different time. Right now, it is June 13th, 2021, but you can still figure out whatever the retrograde, whatever sign the retrograde will be in based on what I'm going to teach you right now. So first, you want to learn which sign that Mercury will be retrograde in, and you're going to count that sign as the first house, and then you're going to count the other houses counterclockwise to find your sign, and then you're going to prepare yourself. Don't worry, I have this a couple of times, and I'm going to show you what that means. So when you're counting the retrograde, when you're counting the houses, you're going to count them in counterclockwise. So when you're counting the houses, you're going to go from Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces. It'll make more sense when I show you this next slide. Okay, now I said that Mercury retrograde is in Gemini. And I said, if you right now are watching this at any other time other than June 2021, it might not be a Mercury retrograde in Gemini period. What you want to do is you want to do your research, do a Google search and say, what sign is Mercury retrograde in? But since right today, we are in Gemini, you're going to count Gemini as the first house. So Gemini would be the first house. So if Mercury retrograde is in Gemini, that means if you're a Gemini, it's in your first house. If you are a Taurus, that means that Mercury retrograde will be in your second house. If you're an Aries, Mercury retrograde is going to be in your third house. Pay attention what if you know your sign is, because I'm going to break it down even more. If you are a Pisces, Gemini is going to be retrograde in your 4th house. If you are an Aquarius, Mercury will be retrograde in your 5th house. If you are a Capricorn, Mercury will be retrograde in your 6th house. If you are a Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde will be in your 7th house. If you're a Scorpio, Mercury will be retrograde in your 8th house. Don't worry, I'm going to break it down. If you are a Libra, Mercury retrograde is in your 9th house. If you are a Virgo, Mercury retrograde is in your 10th house. If you are a Leo, Mercury retrograde will be in your 11th house. And if you are a Cancer, Mercury retrograde will be in your 12th house. I just wanted to say all of the signs to make sure that everyone is accounted for. Camille says the chart I have saved on my online shows this wheel backwards, Cancer. No, not necessarily, Camille. Your chart is not necessarily wrong. This chart I am using to help you figure out where Mercury retrograde will be in your particular house. If you're using like a natal birth chart that you get from online, it's going to look different. But I just want to show you how to figure out what sign, where Mercury retrograde will be in your particular chart, at least for the sun sign. And as I said, if you want to work with an astrologer, if you get your chart done, it can go even deeper. But this is sort of like this just gives you a little guide for what you can work about. So what an Aries, if you are an Aries, Mercury is retrograde in your 3rd house. But again, that's only for this particular Mercury retrograde, which is in Gemini. Let's say later on, or if someone else is watching this in the replay, and let's say Mercury retrograde was in Pisces, Pisces would be counted as the 1st house. Aquarius would be the 2nd house, Capricorn the 3rd house, and so on and so on. So always start with the sign that Mercury retrograde is in. Okay, let me just summarize that one more time really quickly. So if Mercury retrograde is in Gemini, we're going to count Gemini as the 1st house, and then we're going to count the other houses counterclockwise. That's why Taurus will have that Mercury retrograde in their 2nd house. Aries will feel the Mercury retrograde in their 3rd house, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, now we're going to break it down. So Mercury retrograde in your sign. If you are a Gemini, Mercury in retrograde, isn't impacted where Mercury? Yes, this is what I'm talking about. It impacts where Mercury is in your chart. So if you have access to a chart, like a formal zodiac and a horoscope chart, you can see where Mercury will fit into your life. This is going to be sort of a more basic. This prescription that I'm giving you today is relating to your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign. So if you have Gemini in any of those, in your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, it's going to affect your 1st house. So for Geminis, and if you have Gemini in your sign, 1st house, that is where Mercury retrograde is going to have a big effect. That is your image, the first impressions, how others see you, and your reputation. So that means you might accidentally give the wrong impression when you first meet someone. So be very careful. Don't show up at places hungover. You might meet someone for the first time and, they don't know that you're really this awesome person. So be very careful about how you are perceived. That Mercury retrograde will impact you in that way. Don't leave the house. That's Evan. Not necessarily, it all depends, right? But if you're Gemini, be very careful of how others see you and your first impressions and your image and your reputation, what things people are saying about you. That's going to be very key. Now, the second house, this is for Taurus. If you have Taurus in your sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign, Mercury retrograde will be affecting your second house. This is your money, like your work, your daily routines, your income, your habits, your work ethic. This is like a lot of day-to-day things. You may feel a pinch in your income. There might be a change of your daily routines. You might be changing up your habits. Things might be going funky at work. That is Mercury retrograde. Taurus gang gang. Shoshana says, this is all yes for me. Yes. So this is how Mercury retrograde will affect you more than anything else. So the whole thing about this recipe, this prescription, is Mercury retrograde isn't going to affect everyone equally. There are going to be places in your life where you'll feel it more than others. And that's where these houses come through, these horoscope houses or houses of the zodiac. So the third house, if you are an Aries, sun, moon, rising, you're going to feel that Mercury retrograde in your third house, especially. So that's things like social activities, thinking and ideas, communications, siblings, neighbors, roommates. So whoever was saying that they had like a really crazy roommate, then it's very possible that there are some strong Aries going on in your chart. So things like social activities, there are things like misunderstandings, the way you think about things might change. You may definitely be miscommunicating things or misunderstanding things. Be careful of your relationships with your siblings, your neighbors, or your roommates, or also the person who was talking about roommates. Maybe that person has Aries in their chart. So this is just the way things will show up. So Mercury retrograde will show up as miscommunications in that third house if you are an Aries. All right. So fourth house, this is if you are a Pisces. If you're a Pisces, you're going to feel Mercury retrograde in your fourth house. This fourth house represents home, family, your self-care, mother, children, femininity. So if any of these areas are kind of funky, it may be because Mercury retrograde is doing its thing. So things related to your home, that could be the house itself, that could be the energy within your home, that could be your family. How are your family, how is everyone, connecting with each other or not? Your self-care, how are you feeling about your self-care routine? Maybe you might decide that, you know what, I think I need to do some more self-care, and that's totally fine. You might be reviewing, you know what, I don't do enough of things. I don't do things enough for myself. I need a massage. I think I should do more of that. I think I'm going to schedule these on a regular basis. This is a great time to think about those things. Think of, and things like your mother, your children. How are you getting along with your mom and your kids? Mercury retrograde may have some effect there. Oh my goodness, Lauren, I called it and I didn't even know. You had said at the beginning that you had the schizophrenic roommate. And look at that. I'm a Sag, and the roommate that is giving the issue is an Aries. And that was like the third. We said social activity, thinking and ideas, communication, siblings, neighbors, roommates. So that is Mercury retrograde going haywire for that Aries. Hopefully, perhaps when Mercury goes direct after the 22nd, hopefully things will calm down. That is my hope for you, Lauren. So yeah, Brown says, phew, Lauren, that is a lot of fire in that home. I will agree to that. That's very interesting. I was just saying the roommate situation. So hopefully things will calm down, but Brown does make a very good point. That is a lot of fire under that one roof. So, but back to the fourth house, if you are a Pisces, home, family, self-care, mother, children, femininity, those areas will be highlighted and you will be feeling those effects of Mercury retrograde. Okay, next up, number 5, fifth house. If you are an Aquarius, you're going to feel the Mercury retrograde in your 5th house. That's going to affect things like romance, love affairs, play, creativity, fertility. Fertility is interesting. If you are trying to have kids and maybe you got like you received no, like your doctor said that things weren't going to work out, or maybe you needed help, this is a good time to review that. Or maybe this is a good time to go back to the doctor and get another opinion. Fertility. Or you might be thinking about making sure that you are practicing safe sex, that you are protected from, disease and or pregnancy. Be very careful. Romance, things like, your exes might come by. You might be hearing from your exes, your old lovers. Someone said that they'd heard from all of their lovers. Wow, that's crazy. But also your sense of play. Are you playing? Are you being creative? Are you taking time to play? You might want to buy some crayons. You might want to spend some time with your kids and buying or checking out some crayons and coloring books. They have coloring books for adults now. So the 5th house will be affected if you are an Aquarius. So if you're an Aquarius, be mindful of your romance, love affairs, your sense of play, your creativity, your fertility. Mercury retrograde will be focusing on that area in your life. Okay. Or new toys. Yes, actually, that's a good one. Platypus is suggesting. So if y'all need some new toys, sex toys or otherwise, this is a good time. Although it's a gadget. So maybe not get anything electronic, get something else. Maybe use like fruit or something. I don't know. Being creative. Okay, the 6th house. If you are a Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn. If you're a Capricorn, Mercury retrograde will be highlighted in your 6th house, which is health, fitness, systems, pets, organization, and service. So if you are thinking about going on, starting another diet or starting a new diet, or maybe revising your health plan, your fitness plan, this is a great time for doing that. You might be rejiggering your systems or reorganizing things. Make sure that your pets are accounted for, I guess. I don't know if you'd say that. Make sure that your pets have the right medications, that you get like their play dates. Like if you have a date set up with another pet owner, like say you have dogs and they're playing out, with other dogs, make sure to check those dates for those play dates. These are the things where Mercury retrograde might go haywire. Make sure that things are organized. Make sure that you have all of the things, the tools that you need. And service, the kind of service that you give, whether it is, it could be like charity service or service to others. There may be miscommunications or if you have something related to gadgets, but it's related to service or something that you're working on, it's just something to think about. Oh, look at that. Evan says, Cap Rising, been feeling drawn to do something of service for a vocation. So this is a perfect time to take that, to review that, revisit, revise, go and do some research, like check out the different organizations that you might want to work with. This is a great time. You don't have to say, I want to do this. This is a great time just to check them out and see which ones you like, which are the causes that mean something to you. Oh, good, Evan. Excellent. So then let's see, that is the 7th house. That was the 6th house. Okay, if you're a Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde will be in your 7th house, which is the house of partnership. So that's relationships, marriage, contracts, business partners. So these are a very important house. And when Mercury retrograde is like in that particular house, you really want to be careful about communicating with others, your spouse, your lover, if you're having because it's so easy to have to fight at this time. It's so easy to misunderstand or to feel that this person is being really over critical of you, or you might be overly critical, or they might misunderstand something you said, and then all of a sudden there's this big fight and you're like, wait, that's not what I meant at all. This is this is very important. So if you are a Sagittarius, be very careful of the things that you're saying. Listen as much as possible. If you can avoid contracts, if you can avoid signing them, if you can wait till after June 22nd, please do so. If you cannot, then this is a great time to like look at everything, go over these contracts with a fine tooth comb. If you have a business partnership, you're sharing a business with someone, make sure that both of you are clear, that you are in alignment. This is another area where communication can go haywire, and things like emails get lost or messages somehow just don't get seen. It happens. So just be mindful. If you are a Sagittarius, the seventh house, there's just, a lot can happen. So this is like house of partnership and serious partnerships. So, pay attention and, just pay attention and watch the things that you say. Oh man. So dang, I'm getting hit in the 6th, 7th, and 8th house. Anyone getting hit with houses next door to each other? Someone's like, Brown says, I feel like I'm getting hit in the 1st and the 3rd. Yeah, totally. And the thing is, we all have most of these signs to some extent in our sign, in our chart. So it's just good to know, just to be mindful, because like if here it is, I'm giving you, I'm Dr. Aunt Carla, I'm giving you this prescription. It just helps you to be mindful and to make better choices. We can't prepare for everything, but at least knowing that this is what's going on, it enables us to make better choices. 2, 4, and 9. Woo! Yeah. And sign a new lease. Yeah, just be very careful. 8th house. So Scorpios, if you have Scorpios in the sun, moon, or rising sign, you will feel Mercury retrograde in the 8th house. That is sex, intimacy, shared finances, inheritances, your partner's resources, and joint ventures. So this is like money owned by someone else. So sex, make sure. So that's another place, like sex and intimacy. Well, let's start with sex. Sex, sometimes you might have sex with someone you love even, and maybe it might, things might not, you might not be in the mood. How's that? Or it might not be as happy or as enjoyable as you like. I don't know. I feel like I'm digging myself into a hole. Intimacy, miscommunications, like you want to be intimate with this person. Someone on who was it? Someone on Instagram said that they had a big fight with their friend with benefits over communication. See, that's perfect. That does come under intimacy. Shared finances. If you have like a shared checking account with your partner, make sure that both of you are in agreement with the charges that you're making. Make sure that you're not bouncing checks. If there are inheritances that you are expecting, or that you are giving away, or that you are creating for your loved ones, make sure that all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. So joint ventures, joint businesses, your partner's resources. Someone said that they were going to give you some money, or they were going to loan you some money. You might hear from them during this time, and they might say, oh, wait, I can't do it right now. Or you might feel like they disappointed you or let you down in some kind of way. That is just Mercury retrograde at work. But again, remember, after June 22nd, things are more likely to go direct again. So remember, this isn't a final decision. Whatever is said is not necessarily a final decision. Oh, wow. Camille says, my dad's a Scorpio sun, and he and his brother are having issues over inheritance right now. Wow. There you go. Okay. Evan, still dealing with inheritance from the passing of my dad 3 years ago. Scorpio sun. There you go. So it's like this, it's just these different things that are affected or highlighted at this time. So let's see. Astral sex, says HP. Yeah, I mean, like, if maybe astral sex is something that you do, but you're feeling like you're not able to connect, that might be something that happens at this time. Or maybe you might have a different kind of connection with someone that you don't usually do. So these are just different things to think about. I have one more set. Oh, HP, Evan wants to know about astral sex. Does it happen during astral traveling? I want to know that too. ZK says, arguing with my boyfriend about me not being in the mood, and he is. I'm Scorpio moon and rising, and he's a sun. So yeah, see, like, so arguing about being in the mood or not being in the mood, or miscommunicating, or being hypercritical. Be very careful at this time. Everyone's ego is very, we're all fragile, and do your best to put yourself in that other person's shoes before going off on them. Oh, okay. Evan says, my late girl and I visit each other in the astral plane at night. Oh, okay. I'm not mad at that. Go on with your bad self, Evan. I can feel her like she was in the bed with me when I wake up. God, what a connection that is. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, keep going. I'm almost done. Let's see. 9th house is Libra. My Libras out there. If you have Libra in sun, moon, or rising sign, Mercury retrograde will be felt in your 9th house, which is travel, wisdom, law and religion, and learning. So if you were maybe thinking about going back to college, and it's like higher learning, that might be affected. Something like your transcripts might have been lost or something, or you might be having a problem in the college of your choice. If you're in whether like law or religion, if you are a lawyer or you're a priest, you have some kind of law and religion, there's going to be some things going haywire. Travel, you can almost count on delays. Make sure that you have your tickets before you leave the house, or you make sure you're booking your, what do you call those things? Your boarding passes. There you go. And you might want to make sure you back that up, because sometimes you think you have something on your phone and you really don't, or you go somewhere and your phone goes, like the battery goes out, like you lose the battery, your battery goes dead, or you can't get Wi-Fi, crazy things like that happen, and they will affect your travel. If you're planning to travel, make sure your car is ready to go. If you're going to take a long trip, make sure that you have enough gas in the car. Make sure you have it serviced. Make sure that you have all your details. Make sure that you have the correct addresses. So if you are a Libra, make sure that these areas are, that you're like looking out for them. Oh, wow. Bunny says, OMG, that's me. I applied to a new education program and got waitlisted. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But as I said, this is not a final answer. It's very possible that once things go direct after June 22nd, you may get, your wait list may clear. So you might get in there. So don't give up. Oh, and it's a law. Let's see. Ron says, my husband is a Libra. We just booked a vacation yesterday. Well, just keep just as I said, it doesn't mean that you can't travel. It just means just be careful, be mindful, make sure that you have all your details, that you have all the right addresses, your boarding passes, your tickets, your gas in the car, like all of that. Jay says, I'm having the worst time getting papers from the university I chose, and it's a law/security based program. Wow, that's crazy. But again, do not give up. Do not give up. It will clear up, but you're just going to have to go with the flow during this time. Camille says, geez, these things are spot on. We were planning a trip for September only to see the event has been postponed for 2022. I'm not I'm not a psychic. I'm not like this, I'm a magical person, but this is math. This is the zodiac. This is the horoscope. There's a saying that is, as above, so below. And what that saying means, that there's things going on in the heavens, like the planets, and they reflect back to the things that are going on with us on the earth. So, this is, as I said, this is kind of math. Like, I'm not making this up. This is based on where Mercury is retrograding in particular houses. So, just something to think about. Okay, so good. Okay, make sure, Bron says, I'll make sure that I have everything. Fantastic. Oh, Precious! Hey, Precious, we miss you. Hey, Precious. All right, so Mercury retrograde in your sign. Let's see, now I am at Virgo. If you are a Virgo, you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your 10th house. And that is career, long-term goals. It represents men, fathers, like authority figures, structure, success. So if you are a Virgo and you're trying to build things, you're trying to make something happen, you're trying to get a promotion, there may be some things going a little wonky there. And Mercury retrograde will show itself there. It might be also like other men in your life. It doesn't matter what your gender is, but men in your life, your fathers, and we do have Father's Day next week. So if you are Virgo, make sure that you have your gift ready for your dad. Authority figures, structure. Like if you feel like, I'm trying really hard to build things and get these things in place and get all these things happening, but it's not working. Don't push too hard if it's not like, if you're not getting the forward motion that you want. That's just Mercury saying, you know what, how about go back and look at that, go reread that contract, go review that project, go and talk to somebody and see if you need to revise something. Remember, revise, review, reset. That is what you want to do. So if you're feeling like stuck from like a career success place in your life, if you're a Virgo, this will pass. This is just a time where it's more important to chill out and review. Oh, Kathleen, I'm sorry. Kathleen's dad passed away and dealing with a lot of dad stuff. And most definitely, because being that this is, it's, if you have lost anyone in your life, of course, you're going to be feeling that, especially during this time. Someone earlier today sent me an email saying they just lost their father and they feel like they were going to be triggered today. So they're like, okay, I'll just get the replay. And I'm like, I totally understand that. And, we're human, and we feel things. And this is that time, no matter what your sign is, but this is that time when we're thinking about the past. We're thinking about the people that we love who have gone on to other situations or, other realms. And that's just part of the whole Mercury retrograde thing, that we can't help but think about people from our past. And that's also why some of you are getting hit up by your exes, because they can't help but think about you. They're thinking about, oh, I remember those times that we had. Remember that vacation we went on together? I think I really made a mistake with you, and I think maybe we should try again. Don't be surprised when you get those calls. However, wait till June 22nd or afterwards before you make any decisions. Do not jump into anything with your ex until after the smoke has cleared. All right, 11th house, Leo, my Leos. If you're a Leo, Mercury will be retrograding in your 11th house. This is your house of groups, friends, social awareness, humanitarian issues, hopes and wishes, and the future. So social awareness, like if you like to do networking, this will be one of those times where things, especially on the communication side of things, will not be as smooth as you would like. If you're trying to organize groups of friends to go to brunch, you're like, okay, now we can go outside again. We want to go to brunch. You're going to have some people who are kind of like, no, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready to go outside again. No, do it without me. Or you're trying to organize a group of people to set up someone's surprise birthday party. And you're like, how come I cannot get everyone to agree to a particular day? That could happen. Hopes and wishes, you might have, this is like it's the house of hopes and wishes, like things that you would really like to accomplish in the future. Like, what are your secret hopes and wishes? And you're like, I would really like to do this thing. I would like to start a business. I would like to buy a house or go back to school, like, or whatever your hopes and wishes are. This might be that time when you might have people be critical or say something to you that kind of, make you that you feel like really sensitive about. Someone might be critical about your wish or your dream, or you might apply for something and then you get denied or waitlisted, and you might think, oh my God, my life is over. No, it's not. This is just Mercury retrograde, just kind of like showing itself. Again, this is not the end. This is not the final decision. So if there's things that you're trying to do in the 11th house, if you are that Leo with the groups, friends, social awareness, humanitarian issues, you're trying to, this is also like you're raising money for something, or there's this particular kind of charity work that you want to do, and you're feeling stifled and it's not working the way you want, this will pass. Do not let anything that happens during this period be the final answer, because it is not. Yes, I did do Capricorn already, but I'll do it again later, because everyone is going to get the replay. You get a replay, you get a replay. All right, so, oh, thank you. Karen says CAP was health, fitness, systems, pets, organizations, and service. Okay, so 12th house. If you're Cancer, Mercury retrograde in Cancer will be, you will feel that Mercury retrograde in your 12th house. Things like endings, healings, closure, what's hidden, your limited beliefs, the subconscious, and old age. So the 12th house represents endings. So if you are a Cancer, you might feel delays or miscommunication and things like closure, like you want to get closure with this person. But I always like to tell people, closure comes from within. You determine that closure. It doesn't come from outside. Closure is an inside job. But if you're feeling like, oh, I need to talk to this person in order to get closure, you might not get it that way. And that's why I think you really have to think about getting that closure for yourself. Things might feel like they're ending, but they are going to get opened again once Mercury goes direct. If you are working on getting something healed, if you have any kind of health challenge, this is a good time to go back and get another opinion, go and see a different doctor, or maybe just go back and get something retested. And old age, how do you feel about getting older, or how do you feel about being with people who are older? There may be Mercury retrograde showing up in like your communications with people who are older. With the subconscious, that also means any intuitions that you are feeling. If you are a Cancer, pay attention to whatever intuitive things that are going on, because it might be anxiety. It may be something else that you're going through. It might not be your real subconscious. It might just be a fear. So think about, is that really my intuition, or is that my anxiety talking? Let's see, what's hidden? Limited beliefs. So things like, if you're working on your self-worth, this is a great time to work on those. Like, oh, I feel like I couldn't make more money. I could never earn more money than my father. Or I believe that rich people are, filthy, dirty, whatever. This is a great time to revisit those limiting beliefs that we have, and ask yourself, where did this come from? Is it true? And what can I do to change those beliefs that limit me? So Mercury retrograde is a good time to revisit all of those things. So if you are a Cancer, 12th house will be affected by Mercury retrograde. Oh, good. Platypus says that she is seeing acupuncture and allergists this month. So yeah, it's a great time for getting those healings taken care of. And I know that, Platypus, I know you see a lot of doctors, and, you have you're on your healing journey, shall we say. So this might be the time that people miss something, but they might find it this time, if that makes sense. So this is a good time to revisit those things. Camille says, all of my doctor visits have been scheduled this month. Interesting. Yes. And Platypus is a team of them, and we will be starting all over again with new providers when we move. Yes, you will be restarting. So there you go. So you're going to be starting again. Remember, it's like revisit, restart, redo. And hopefully this will be a better place for you. You'll have a better, I'm definitely sending, you good wishes and good vibes for a better, health team who can give you the support that you need. So yeah. Now, we talked a lot today about Mercury retrograde, but that's not the only other retrograde period that's out there. And I'm not going to go into these too deeply, but eventually I feel like Mercury retrograde became this big thing because of the internet, because now everyone has heard about Mercury retrograde, but it's not the only retrograde out there. So over time, you will start to see more of these. And actually, I have heard of these, and you may as well. So I just want to let you know, these are the other things to look out for. And just like we looked up, like if you wanted to do a Google search to find out, if you wanted to find out which of these signs are going to be retrograde, how long are they going to be retrograde for, what house is it going to be in? Now that you know how to do that with Mercury, if you wanted to, and you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you could also check these out as well. Mercury, because it's close to the Earth and it happens like 3 or 4 times a year, we feel the Mercury retrograde period much more often. As I said, it happens like 3 or 4 times a year. So these other planets, not so much, but you just want to know, if you want to know, that they exist. So Jupiter, when Jupiter retrogrades, Jupiter is the house. Jupiter, that planet, is about abundance and pleasure and manifestation. So when Jupiter retrogrades, your ability to manifest will be tested. When it comes to Saturn retrograding, since Saturn represents, it rules your lifetime and your career goals, your ideas of achievement and success will be tested during a Saturn retrograde period. Pluto rules transformation. So when Pluto is in a retrograde period, it's going to affect how you adapt to change. And it's a good time for shadow work. Neptune, when Neptune goes retrograde, because Neptune rules over spirituality and intuition, you might be asking yourself, how can you connect more deeply? How can you connect to your intuition? How can you connect more to spirit? And Chiron is like a smaller, like a minor planet, and it represents the wounded healer. So when Chiron goes retrograde, you're going to focus on your boundaries, your physical body, and your unique gifts. Now, the whole Chiron itself is just a very interesting, it's one of the myths, and it's the idea that if you have been wounded, you can be a very good healer for others, because once you have been in a place of that kind of vulnerability, you will be better able to help others and to heal others, and you will have a better well of compassion for others. So if you've ever been feeling that you have been wounded, or you feel especially vulnerable or hurt, there is a secret gift in that. You might not be feeling that like that now, but it's that idea that if you have gone through, really hard things, traumatic things, you can help other people. So that's just something to think about. Let's see. All right. So now that I have gone through all of these different retrogrades, we talked about Mercury retrograde as well as the other lesser known retrogrades. I want you to think about the different prescriptions we've talked about in this class. And I want you to be prepared, not scared, because that's really all it's about. Be prepared. If you know that these things are coming, if you know that a particular house is going to be affected, be prepared, not scared. Ding. So before I wrap up, I have some special things for you today. Let me drink a little water. I will be sending an email to everyone, and I believe I have, I believe I should be, for anyone who's tuning in, I will have, what do you call it? The transcript available, like the class chat I can speak, the class chat transcript available. There we go. So if you, if anyone wants to connect with anyone else who are in the class, like if you want to put your IG information in there, you can definitely do that. And then everyone is going to get a copy of the class, or a link to the class chat transcript. There we go. Okay, now I mentioned, thank you. All right. Yep, Platypus Custard on all socials. That's why it's always so great. Platypus Custard, there's only one. There can only be one. Now, as I said, I've taught over 20 master classes. So I'm doing something a little different today. Instead of doing anything, like this class is going to be free, or it's already free. You're going to get this retrograde and you can play it back. However, I'm offering a special price on these particular master classes. I mentioned journal scripting, candle magic, crystal herb magic, candle magic. So if that is something that you want to go deeper into during this period, I'm offering these classes for $27. They're usually $47. So this is just something different. And let's see. Yeah, so these are like special special prices that are available only until 8 o'clock tonight. And as I mentioned, if anyone would like to set up a witchy tea session with me, go to redsoulflower.com/tea. I'm offering one-on-one witchy mentorships via Zoom. So that's 15 minutes for $25, 30 minutes for $50, 60 minutes for $80. So if you are interested in having just like a one-on-one, so instead of, having slides and other people, you just want to have like, I'm here for you. And, it's really interesting because some people are far in their practice. And earlier I was speaking with someone who is an end of life doula or a death doula, and they wanted to learn how to use magic for, to go deeper into their craft. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then on the other hand, I have people who are really new to this magical path, and they just want to ask questions like, am I crazy? Like, this thing happened to me. I saw this thing, I heard this thing, and I don't have anyone else to talk to. Can you talk to me about, can you tell me that I'm not crazy? I am that person. Like, there's nothing too crazy to talk about. So if you just want to have a one-on-one, we could do that for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever works for you. So redsoulflower.com/tea. There's like a link on there to like answer some questions. You're not under any obligation to do anything, but fill it out, submit, and then I will email you back, and then we'll either work out, we'll set a date, or we'll do something else. And let's see, what else do I have for you? Oh, someone just asked. Thank you for asking. If you choose, and this is totally optional, love offering. Someone asked, yes, I do have Cash App. It is $ Red Soul Flower, and Venmo, the @ Red Soul Flower. So that's my new name, as you all know, Red Soul Flower. I'm no longer using Marie Lazo. I mean, I have an old account so people can find me if they, if they need me. If they're looking for if you're looking for Marie Lazo, you will find Red Soul Flower instead. So that's where I am. And finally, this is going to be offered for free, this reversing retrograde masterclass. So as soon as the recording is ready, I will be sending an email to everyone and have the link to I'm going to have this on, we're going to have it YouTube. So like and subscribe. So that's pretty much it. So we're going to do some questions. I'm going to turn off recording, and then we're going to have any questions. And if anyone wants to go back, we can. But because everyone's going to get a free replay, I'm not going to go too deep on that. So let me think. Let me turn off the recording, and we're going to do some question answers for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go have dinner. All right.